Well, as I say, the real world is not quite as simple as this. There are capital flows to take into account, responses to speculation on assets between countries and so on. And of course, we've seen the obvious that China's been downloading, offloading rather, is a better word, isn't it? Offloading all its assets that are United States controlled, including their bonds and even their equities, in case there's reprisals and the United States refuses to pay on them. Well, the rest of the world's quite happy to buy United States assets because it's playing the game with the United States anyway. It's not going to be victimized by holding their assets. It's playing by the rules. Do interest rates rise somewhat? Yes. Does this have an adverse effect on world growth? Well, actually, you can offset that by increasing the money supply from the government point of view, because it will be contained within the new world order that's keeping the rules, the club. And you'll all advance together, economically, as if you were one country trading zone. With the isolated, in this case we'll say China, that's refusing to play the game. But of course, China's not daft. If it's defeated in this war in this way, simply chooses to play the game and starts getting its own resources back into international trade instead of being isolated itself. You see, if it remains isolated in itself, it's smaller than the rest of the world. And therefore the rest of the world, in being isolated from it, if you like, from China, is going to be growing at a faster rate than China, because the greater economy trading within itself has higher growth rates than the smaller economies trading within themselves. Presumably because there are payoffs and so on in sheer size. Well, the argument is, of course, not so much is the argument that sound, but taste and see. Is it catastrophic to follow this policy? And the United States under Trump is finding out. And there are all sorts of threats of, dire consequences in any change. And the immediate one was, well, China will unload its American assets, and that means the bond prices collapse. No, they don't collapse. Where do you want to keep your assets? In what we might call the free economic world, or the controlled one of China? Well, that's a very emotive labelling. Probably not right to do that, but you're a wealth holder. Where do you keep your wealth? In what? Would you rather be holding Chinese currency at the time that people are not buying Chinese goods? Well, that doesn't sound very likely. Or would you rather be holding it in something that's like American assets and currency, which is still trading on a very large scale and bringing its own resources now, unemployed resources, back into employment? So investment switches too internally in the United States, and if it doesn't, then you do what the Roosevelt administration did back in the history. You have projects, and the benefit of these spending projects are within your trading zone, which is at least the United States and possibly including, such other members in the world that have joined the big club. And it's the big club that always wins. And in a sense, Trump has a hunch. He knows this. The big guy wins. And he is the big guy on the pitch. And of course, the obvious in this, the United States no longer is, dumping dollars on the world stage because it's running a balance of payments equilibrium, equal, zero. Well, approaching such all the time. That's what its policy is now. And until mavericks, in this case, China, follows suit, they will be impoverished by doing otherwise. Or should I say attempting to do otherwise? Because, of course, the other nations wise up to it and join the Trump Club. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.